Hello, and welcome back to another collaboration between Moving Image Madison, which is my Substack. I'm James Kreul, and collaborating with Not That Rob Thomas, the Substack of Rob Thomas. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Jim. I see we're wearing the same clothes as we did in our
That's
last.
right. We're in the same sort of laundry routine, and
Exactly.
luckily
Yeah,
these just came out. This just
cycle,
dried.
yeah.
Actually, this was I air dried this one. Out on the. It's a very nice days this week where it's dried out in the sun, and so yes, it's a sheer coincidence that we're both wearing the same thing again. Yeah. So today, the topic today is the film Tuner. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about the film, and then we'll go into our discussion.
Yeah, so Tuner is the first narrative film from Daniel Roher, who is a documentarian. He made a great documentary about Navalny, the Russian dissident, a couple of years ago, referencing our last movie we were talking about, and also documentary about the band called Once Were Brothers. Tuner is, I would say, half caper thriller, half drama, starring Leo Woodall, the British actor from the TV show One Day. He was also in Nuremberg, that ensemble from last year. A real rising star. A lot of people are talking about. I can see this movie really being a stepping stone for him. He plays an American named Nicky, who was once a musical prodigy, but then developed a condition which he describes as being allergic to loud noises. So he has extreme sensitivity to sound, is always wearing what look like hearing aids, but they're actually hearing blockers. And then sometimes when he's out, we'll also put noise canceling headphones on top of that. So the upside of this condition and being extremely sensitive to sound is that he has a job as a piano tuner, sort of with his mentor, played by Dustin Hoffman, and the two of them tool around New York, tuning pianos in recording studios and concert halls and mansions, of course, where these pianos don't get played. And they have I thought they had a really nice chemistry together, the two of them, as they're, chatting in their car. But at a mansion, one night, Nicky's working alone on a piano and he hears a noise upstairs, goes upstairs and finds three guys trying to break into the safe of the owner's house. And he is like, can you keep it down? Basically, I'm trying to work, and helps them crack the safe and finds that his sensitivity to A flats and B minors is also attuned to hearing the clicks of the tumblers on a safe. So he gets the safe open for these guys, and is initially like whatever, and then they're impressed enough that they invite him on another job, and he gets pulled into this world of safe cracking, which is convenient because the Dustin Hoffman character suffers I think it's a heart attack. I don't think it's really even specified, but he's in the hospital with mounting medical bills, so Nicky's motivated to start making some money fast. And so the movie is sort of bifurcated between his criminal life, getting these bigger and bigger jobs with these safecrackers, and his domestic life, particularly when he falls in love with a concert pianist and conductor played by Havana Rose Liu. And inevitably those two halves collide, which gives the film a lot of its juice. So I'll ask you first, Jim, what did you think of Tuner?
So we had a brief discussion with a friend of mine, actually, who was at the same screening.
Right.
And my initial reaction was straight down the middle. And, and that doesn't mean bad, or I don't mean like a 5 out of 10, not, it's actually a reasonably good film, but it was just, for me, it was just, a well-made film and a really efficient film in terms of narrative efficiency, sort of maximum narrative efficiency. and I thought that efficiency almost went too far in terms of the characters and the scenes needed to move the narrative forward. So the way that you just described Dustin Hoffman's illness, it's a good thing he had the money, because then what pops up but a need for the money. And there's a lot of story elements sort of perfectly come together like that, almost too tightly, which I wouldn't say strangles the film, but it gives it less room to breathe, and sometimes just seems a little too connect-the-dotty in terms of moving forward. But the performances are really good, and I think it's a good example of something we just mentioned at the end of our last review, which is just going to films to see sort of where films are at, in terms of what's out there, and a film that I might not have been drawn to see on its own terms, but I'm glad I saw, because this is just. I don't want to insult it by saying it's typical, but it's sort of a typical film, and a typical well-made film. But I had mixed reactions to just how crafted it was.
Well, it's funny because I think it's a very typical film for the 1990s, but they don't make these as much anymore, or put them in theaters.
Right.
I think I liked it quite a bit more than you, although I take your point about narrative coincidence. There is a narrative coincidence late in this film, which is extremely hard to swallow, which the climax kind of turns on, which I won't spoil.
Right.
I saw it as a very elevated genre film of the kind that we used to get in the 90s, where it was plot driven but had good performances. The Roar, I think, really is savoring the tricks of a narrative with the editing. Some of the scenes of cracking the safes are really fun. You watch the close-ups of the tumbler turning and all that kind of stuff. The score is very, very jazzy, almost like heist jazz movie by numbers. Score. When Sinnerman shows up, I was like, of course they're gonna that Nina Simone song, of course, is going to be part of it. But I quite enjoyed it. I thought Leo Woodall was really good, kind of in both halves of the movie, and the struggle of these kind of stories is like the protagonist has to keep your sympathies, even though he's making huge mistakes that are going to come back and bite him, and he certainly does in this movie. And I really liked. Havana Rose Lute is an actress who I feel is sometimes underserved. I saw her in this movie that's coming up, I think later this month, called Power Ballad with Paul Rudd, and she's just completely wasted in that. So I thought she was really good. I thought their relationship had a nice texture to it, because she's sort of living the life he had wanted before he had this condition of being a musical prodigy. And Dustin Hoffman, the guy's just fun to watch, I think, and he knows what he's doing, and he hams it up a little bit, sure, but it's fun.
Yeah, he's definitely having fun. Some of the scenes sort of get back, not to beat a dead horse about connecting the dots and so forth, but some of the scenes, I guess what really impressed me about the performances was it seemed like the performances were better than some of the material that they were given. One scene in particular is when they have the so what is this scene? Yeah, right. And narrative-wise, it's sort of an obligatory, there has to be a complication, and here it is, and the dialogue within it is sort of like typical dialogue, but the performances give it a lot of life that isn't there necessarily on the page, especially her, but both of them really, in terms of working through the emotions of that scene. So again, it's sort of a range of responses from me in a scene like that, because on the one hand, I sort of see the dots being connected, but the execution is actually, really well done in terms of the performances.
Yeah. There's one scene late in the film, which I thought turned a convention on its head, which is she has this big piece that she's debuting, is super nervous, and he is not there for whatever reason. And I think in a typical movie, she would mess it up, right?
Right.
And the fact that they went another way, I thought was a satisfying surprise, and I thought it really, you didn't really need that scene in the story necessarily, her performing the piece, but I thought that was really a highlight, both in the fact that it was there and then the way it was filmed.
Right.
Yeah. Which speaks to something else, and which is why I would actually encourage people to see it in theaters, which is I think the sound design in this movie is incredible. It reminded me a lot of the movie Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed, about a heavy metal drummer going deaf, and that it uses sound design to put you in literally in the head of the protagonist, and how he perceives the world, the way he can pick up the quietest sounds and the way the loudest sounds can really debilitate him. So I thought, and in fact, I think they were doing sneak previews, but only in theaters with like really good sound systems, like Dolby sound systems, to show off that. So that would be a real reason why I think people should try and catch it in theaters rather than waiting for it to be home.
Right. Yeah, I definitely appreciated the sound design. Maybe a little too much because, as you know, I'm at the tail end of this ear infection where I've had muffled sound in this ear. So nothing nearly as severe as what happens to him in terms of additional limitations to his hearing. But that sort of sound of like inside your head, like sound, I thought was very effectively used. Yeah.
I think that's so I mean, this is what I would, and this is the kind of movie I like, and the kind of movie I liked 30 years ago when we made them every weekend. So this is what I think I would more wholeheartedly recommend people see in theaters. I think it's opening May 29th in some theaters and then rolling out the following week, more nationwide. It's like Black Bear Distribution, which is an indie distributor.
Right.
So yeah, that's sort of where I land on it.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this does once it comes out. It's it's one that's sort of sneaking in there, like it's not getting big promotion, but I think the right people will find it. I think the people who gravitate to this kind of film will probably find it. So let's hope anyway.
Right. Great. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, well, that's it for this. Another special edition of Moving Image Madison and Not That Rob Thomas. Please subscribe to both of our Substacks and continue to read. I do a lot of sort of updates on what's going on in the film community and schedules of upcoming films. Rob does a lot of reviews. Whenever I see them, I'd link them in my schedule so that everyone knows what to see. And any other thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I will have a full review up on my Substack of Tuner around the time this post. So
great,
yeah,
super. Well, thanks again, Rob. And I don't know when our next mystery excursion will be, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Jim.
We're good. Bye now.
Bye.